All right, and we should be live. We should be live. Thank you to the two people watching. I really do appreciate it. It is really fun to see that people have come out things that I have been making and that I've. And now it looks like the stream hasn't gone live yet, so we'll give it another second. Alrighty, and I think we are live. We should be live now. Alrighty. This is perfecto. Hello, Nuclear Blitz. How are you doing? And nice to see that you've come out and joined me on this little adventure where I'm just going to be talking about games that I have made and stuff like that. So, I guess I'll just show you one of the first games I've made. It is called Blaster Faster, and one of the main things in the game is shooting down other enemies. So it's kind of like it's just a small little game that you can play. This could also work on as a quick mobile game, and I mean it's really low intensity on your PCs and stuff. I mean, mine's running at over 60 FPS just fine, and my PC's from like the 1980s. So I think basically anyone should be able to play this game. Yeah, like how I'd go about publishing it and stuff right now. But yeah, hopefully at least over the summer I will be trying to make it into an app, I guess, because I would love to have some of the games I've made into apps and be able to have the community play them. But yeah, I mean, that's just time will tell if I'll actually be able to run the games on mobile devices and see how I'll actually get there. Oh, well, that's a little sad. Alrighty, Nuclear Bits. I guess I'll see you later. But yeah, I just died. Basically, the main core of the game is that you have two types of enemies. There's your red enemies and your orange enemies. I'll let them spawn in, I guess. So your red enemies are the easier ones to kill. They only take one shot and they only take one laser to kill. Your orange enemies are a little harder as they take 2 kills or 2 shots, and they can also attack back at you. So they can also fire lasers along with you. And it just makes the game a little bit more fun having a higher intensity. That way I was really stuck there. I ate up a lot of shots. And yeah, you can also ram into them to kill them, but that does make you lose hit points. So that's not really a good way to play the game, but it is a way to play the game, I guess. And yeah, I'm just gonna grind this out. Let's see the high score we can get. But I mean, yeah, that is really it for the game. It's just a little game, just a little quick time pass, like mobile game, I guess, but not on the mobile, on the PC. And yeah, it is very, very fun to play. This one especially are very addicting. I have a couple other ones. They're all pretty fun to play. But this one is definitely one of my best games. It's also the best, like, animated and stuff, to where everything runs smoothly. And I guess this one is also the most professional, as this one using a more professional software than the other games that I will show you later down the line. But yeah, this one is definitely probably the best game that I've created in a long while. And yeah, I mean, it is really fun. So I know you guys can't tell, but to move, I have it set to your right mouse button. So to move, you're hitting your right mouse button down, and then to shoot, it's your left, like any other game, any other shooting game, or any other game that involves shooting, basically. And yeah, it is really fun trying to shoot and dodge bullets and other enemies at the same time, and just being able to, I guess, we get a really high score on this. It's very addicting. I know I've said that a bunch, but it's because it really is very, very addicting to play this game. And yeah, I guess I am at 2 hit points, as you can see. So I guess we should be over sometime soon now. Okay. Oh wow! Look at that thread of the needle right in between the lasers. Just start spamming and up and around. Perfect. Oh, I'm at 136 and. Killing these enemies, they do give you points. Each one of these enemies gives you 3 points, and then each one of the smaller enemies give you 1 point, which is correspondent to how many shots they take to kill. So the more armor basically they have, I'll get into all the variables and stuff and how I made it later. But basically, the more shots it takes to kill them, the more points you get. and I did just get hit. Ah, dang, I hit the wrong button. Trying to move, but I hit shoot. No. Okay. As you can see, it is very, very addicting, and I did get up to 159. But I mean, I guess it's time that we talk about the actual game and the internals of the game and how it works. So I'm just gonna quit that and should switch over to my other screen. And here is Game Maker. So this game was made in Game Maker. It is the Game Maker software over here. And let me come over here to rooms and open up this room right here. This is the room where the game takes place, and this is the starting game over here. So you can see how at the very beginning you will spawn in with only 2 people, and then there's this menu. This menu is just this one over here, which is like the menu screen, the title screen, and whatever. But this R space, when you start up the game, there are only 2 enemies just to get you kind of acquainted to the enemies and get you acquainted to the game. But as the game progresses and as you start killing stuff, more and more enemies spawn in. So I guess I'll open up this workspace back there, and then I'll open up some of the things. So over here you can see, make this big over, the script. So these are a bunch of scripts that were written for the game in the Game Maker software and in the Game Maker language. I'm just going to go through all of them really quickly. So this one is the bounce off object script. So this is how, if you saw that, if you run off the wall, you can see here object.x, object.y, and this is just object areas where if you hit another object. So if I were to show you, the enemies can't like go on top of each other, they will bounce off of each other, which just kind of makes the game feel a little more professional, if you ask me. And yeah, there's a bunch of stuff like that. There's bounce off screen edge, where if you hit the edge of the screen as the player, you will bounce off of that screen edge. Create laser effect. This is an effect that comes after you create a laser. It's just like a little flash effect that comes up, which looks pretty nice. And a lot of these stuff are either for animations. So a lot of the scripts are either for animations or for basic gameplay. As you can see, create left and create right laser. They are the same thing, except where the image is spawning. And this is another animation thing, but then it also holds, sorry about that. It also holds like data for the laser and how the laser will interact with other objects. Then there's hit enemy, and this is how if you just hit an enemy, it'll reduce one of their armor and then play a little hit sound. And then there's move towards player over here, where this is like the enemy's AI per se, and this is just how the enemies will be constantly trying to track you and will be moving towards you, and this is basically their AI. And then there's the quit button and the start button. These are the 2 buttons that you see on the starting of the game. And the start button is just a button that will take you into the r_space or the game, basically. And the quit button will just end the game and close down the browser and the window and everything. And then last but not least, we have spawn enemies. And this is a major part of the AI. So once you have killed all the enemies, this will spawn in more enemies based on the wave number. So that is actually a very crucial thing. The wave number that you're on is very correspondent to the enemies that are spawned, and it has a big correlation between those two. And then if you come to here, we have a bunch of objects. Objects are like the little animations and all the little buttons and all that stuff. So we have player ship, enemy 1, enemy 2, the enemy laser, and near laser. And then we have a little explosion particle that happens every time you shoot, and an explosion flash that happens after an explosion, and all that stuff. And this is just a bunch of little objects that basically run the game. I'm going to go through some of the big ones because going through all of them will take a lot of time. So here is ship parent, and this is an object that controls any type of ship. So as you can see, there's the player ship and the 2 enemy ships, and this just has some stuff in there. Like if I open up variable definitions, it has some basic variables like armor, max speed, and acceleration. And along with that, it has some events and some scripts over here. So you can see how close to that. So you can see how for every single type of ship, there is a destroy event where if their armor gets too low, then it will destroy the enemy, and it'll create like a little flash to show that the enemy has been destroyed, just a little animation. And then it also adds stuff to your score and a global high score and all that. And then there's also this end step event, which just says that this is where it checks that if the armor is less than 0, then it'll destroy the enemy and destroy the ship for any type of them. And then there's this one where this is just calling on the bounce off objects, where if any of these ships hit another type of ship or they come in contact with another type of ship, it'll bounce off of it instead of like going on top of it and creating and basically dispelling the illusion. And this is one of the main ones. There are other main ones though, other types of objects you can see here. I'm going to show you enemy spawner because enemy spawner is a very crucial one here. And basically, if the variable enemy is, and it checks for how many ships are on screen -1 because it needs to subtract the player, or else that all that logic won't work. But after it does that, it will spawn ships dependent on your score, and it depends on your score. So if you have a score of 20 per se, then it'll spawn 2 of the enemy 1 ships, which are the smaller ones, and 1 of the enemy 2 ships, which are the bigger ones. And this is this is simple. This is just simple stuff here, but it's very, very useful, and I really, really like the way GameMaker organizes its code and all that. So it's very easy to understand, and anyone just starting to get into coding and game making can do it. So that is very, very nice and very, very crucial to getting started in games. I mean, I didn't start there. I'll show you where I technically started, but I really, really, really like GameMaker because I do have a background in programming, and so that really helped me understand how GameMaker works. But even if you don't have a background in programming, you can still really, really enjoy the game and really, really enjoy making the game as well. Anyway, I guess we should move on to the other ones because I don't want to keep this stream too long. So I'm going to move over to another game that I've made. Are you sure I want to exit? Yep. And let me open that up real quick. I'm so sorry about the black screen. I didn't really have a template that I could use there. So, I mean, it's fine. It'll only take a second. And here we are. We're into another software. This software is called Construct, and this one is a little easier to understand. So I'll go a little bit more in depth into how this one works. If it loads, which I don't know if it will. Has it loaded yet? No, it has not. Looks like I've got to close the software and try again. I too love technical bugs. Let's see if it loads this time. All right, it did load. Perfect. Now open. And no, I can't show you that. So I guess we'll just go here. We'll start off with Battle Pong. This isn't the first game I created, but this would have been the first game I created if I had gone down that traditional layout. Is it not detecting it? No, it is not. I don't know why. That's okay. I'll get into it in a second. But basically, this is the game right here, and in the middle there should have been like a little screen that shows you what I see, where it's like the animation screen and all that. I don't know why it's not showing up. I will have to look into that. But anyway, yeah, I'll go over to the code real quick and then I'll show you how to play the game. So this is like the little game here, and if I go into invent sheet, you can see this is a lot simpler game than the first game I created, where I would really like to start with this game only because it shows you the basic collisions and all that stuff, and this really helps get the ball rolling in game making. Anyway, so yeah, this shows how this is a 2-player battle pong game. So it's basically ping pong just with 2 players and using the keyboard. And you can see how over here W and S are what control player 1, and your arrow keys are what control player 2. And in this Construct 2, movement is already bound to player key, so we didn't have to define that up here. But if you wanted to change it, so if you wanted to use W and S per se, you had to change what those keys are doing and what it's controlling. So that's why you can see a player 1 simulated, but not a player 2. And then also you can see over here that there are collisions. So over here, whenever the side or like your little racket per se collides with the ball, you will set the ball to a random degree, which will have it bounce off that and then bounce off to the other side. And every tick is just checking for the player's score. And then on collision with goal, so we have these 2 objects on either side of it called goal that the player doesn't see when playing the game, but they are there. And whenever the ball collides with that, or basically whenever it goes past the racket and into the goal, then it'll add one to the other person's score, and it'll restart the game basically. And then it also shows when the score is greater than 3 for either one of them. It'll stop the ball moving, and it'll set. Now there's a text that you'll see, which is variable to game over, and that is what will show up, and it'll show who won and what score they had, and then whenever you start the game, it'll make that disappear like normal. So let's see if I just runs the game and if this will actually work as I intend it to. It did not open properly. Oops, I meant to close that. Whoopsies. That is fine. Let me just add this real quick then. One second. I'm sorry. It did not add the correct source. So I need to redo it. Monitor went no. Capture. This one right here. All right. So this is half broken. That's great. But anyway, if I do that, it should work. So now if I start up the game over here, yep, there we go. Perfect. Now you can see how, oops, I need to start playing. You can see how the game is being played and what the game looks like. The game is pretty simple other than when this happens. This is really annoying, so just refresh. You can see how I'm hitting my arrow keys right now, and you can see the red one is moving, or player 2, and now when I start hitting W or S, you can see how the blue one starts moving, and I am really, really bad at this. Let's see if I can get better just by playing this game a little. But yeah, you can see how the game plays, and I really would have liked to start off with this game. I know I've said that before, but this shows the basics of the software a lot better than the game that I actually started off with, which is called Flip, and I guess I'll get into that next. But yeah, if I had started off with this game, I think I would have understood the software a little bit better than I technically do right now. But yeah, just at the beginning of the game, while creating my first game, I was a little confused, and I guess that is just because I hadn't used the software before. But if I was able to start off with this game, I would have definitely known how to use the software a bit more, and would have been, and would have made the game making process a little easier. You can see if I let him score. Oh God, I have to let him score. So just do something like that, and now we have to wait for the ball. This is another thing that would have changed. So I made a lot of these games using a PowerPoint like tutorial thing, but if I was going to do it on my own, one of the things I would have changed is the angle set the ball is set to, because it can be set to like an 80 or like an 85 degree, and they're just bouncing up and down on the screen a lot, like what happened at the beginning, and that's not the best per se. And yeah, you can see how the game over text has appeared, and how the game basically runs. And it is a very, very simple game to run, and this is a very, very easy game to recreate too. But anyway, let's move on to another one of my games. I'd close these and open up, let's go Flip. So Flip is another one of the games that I had created, and this was actually my first game. But even though I was like I was saying, I would have liked to create using a different game per se. But yeah, this was also a very fun game to create, as there are many levels, as you can see over here. And then there's also stuff like the start, the instructions, and all that. I don't know why it's not switching over the screen, but it should be. I don't know. But anyway, you can see how at least this is the game over tab, and this is just a bunch of the code that goes into the game. Then this is just to end the game and what buttons you can click and all that. If I go over to here, you can see, there we go. Now it works. You can see a bunch of the other code. So here is code for when the game starts, and just how the camera needs to be, and how the character Flip needs to be, and where he needs to be, and then a bunch of stuff there. And then this comes at the very end of the level. There is a boss level, and it just shows if the boss is visible. So if the boss is on screen, then it'll open a group, and that group down here is boss actions, and it'll start up this group, and this is how the boss works. And this is like all the bosses AI, where it'll start shooting fireballs at you, and it'll move around and all that. And then it can also pass a certain line, as you don't want it to literally come and attack you on a side scroller type of game. And then if it subtract and if it hits certain things to do certain things, especially with the fireball and the boss and all that. And yeah, that is another thing. There are also knights. So knights have their own AI over here, which shows how they are set to move. And these are like patrol guards, so they move back and forth. So their AI was a little easier to make. And there is also a archer, an arrow. So you can see how this is another thing where this object. So one of the main things that Construct has is it has a bunch of different pre-made presets for it. So like for archer, it was really simple because I just had to apply the turret preset, and that did all the code of animating it and moving it and having a track. And then all you had to do is set if you wanted to shoot in a certain place or if you wanted it to track like the player, we wanted to track the player. And yeah, all that was already preset for us. All we had to do was click a couple buttons and that was set. And then it also gave us like this when the turret shoots, what we need to do. So we just have it spawn an arrow. And then just other stuff where if an arrow hits certain things or if it's not on the screen, then it or flips his, what do you call it? Flips like ammo, and it flips guns thing per se. And so same thing, if the coconut hits certain things, it'll destroy, and then if it hits certain other type of thing, it'll do a little code to there. So if it hit a knight, it'll stun it, and if it hits a wall, it'll destroy. And if it hits the boss, then it'll just subtract one from the health. And then if we can see how this has a bunch of sub events. So then if it hits the boss and the boss health is 0, then it'll destroy everything and it'll let you go through. And last but not least, we have flip animation. So this was just setting some of his animations and his controls. So over here, these are all the controls. There are a lot more for flip. It's only about 15, 16 lines of code, but yeah, there are a lot more where certain buttons do this, and then certain objects when interacting with something else does this and that. And yeah, it's very fun. It's very, very good game. As like a second game to get into, where I would personally, I think we did flip first, and then we did Battle Pong second, but I would have switched those around, doing Battle Pong first to get used to the software and all that, and then I would have went to flip. And flip kind of, it's a higher level thinking of the software, and it just makes it's easier to have a rundown of, and it's easier to play and all that. And with that, it also shows this is your first proper game per se, and this just would help you understand it a lot thoroughly instead of getting started with flip, which for me was a little confusing. But I guess now it's time to move on to the actual gameplay, and it's fine. We'll use this tab, even though I really don't want it to. Actually, no, we won't use this one. I shall do this, and I need to re-add. Okay, yeah, and now you should be able to see. The game over here and how it's being played. And if I start it from the start layout, if this were to be an actual game, this is how I would have started the game, having it so it starts up on this screen, and then moving on from this screen, we can go into the actual gameplay. So as you can see, this is the gameplay, and it runs pretty smoothly. I think it's lagging out a little bit because I am trying to run so many things at once, but the game does run pretty smoothly over here, and you can just see how there are platforms. Oh, I also forgot there's like a jump boost. So if you hold down the arrow key and then have him jump up, even though it's not it's working right now. Yeah, if you hold down this your down arrow key and then you have him jump, it gives him a jump boost. Because of the fact that some of the animations and stuff aren't working to their entirety. One of the main challenges I had with Flip is you can see how there's like a HUD element over here where you can see how when you spawn in, there's a HUD, and the HUD, it like tells you stuff like your ammo and your lives and all that. I was having a hard time having it move and scroll with the game. Still haven't figured that out, but I also haven't been working on Flip for a while. But yeah, this was a hard time for me to do, and also there's a timer, so I guess I got to go fast now. Yeah, having that HUD element kind of confused me a little because it wasn't properly working, as you can see on your screen. Yeah, but also some of the AI is definitely broken because the game is being a little laggy. This one is a lot more resource intensive, and this is one of the reasons that I like Game Maker a bit more, only because is that it's a lot more polished and all that, and you can see how if you hit a knight, you will get stunned, and that is the end of a life of yours. But yeah, Game Maker is a lot more polished, and it also has a lot more performance features than Construct 2 has. Because of that, usually it won't work just fine, but it's because I'm streaming and running a bunch of other things at once on my computer that it is a little bit laggy. And I guess that gives you a performance change between those two, because I haven't really closed down anything between the two games because I am live streaming, so I really can't close it down. But I just showed you how much more polished and stuff Game Maker is compared to Construct 2, where the performance is in the hand of the creator, so the creator can really make it how resource intensive or non-intensive he wants. I thought I shot him. And that is the game over. Now I will be trying to speedrun this as I go through, but and while talking. But yeah, the performance in Construct 2 is really based on how the game maker wanted it to be, and it's not more focused on like overall experience. So the game maker, like as you can see here, this is a lot more resource intensive, even though it really shouldn't be. Because I think that being able to run a game like Blaster Faster, which was the game of the first game I showed you, that should be a lot more resource intensive than this little side scroller. But this also shows like how not polished. I don't want to use the word polished because the software is very polished, but how like how much control the game maker has compared to the player. And I'm shocked. This level is very, very hard. Let me tell you that it is a hard level to beat, and you have to be very strategic about what you do because of the amount of knights and archers. I have made this very hard on myself, and I really shouldn't have. Oh, okay. No, I guess that is really it to talk about the game. There's not much to it. It's a controller game, so let's try to beat this in its entirety. I have done it many a times, but right now it seems that I'm not able to, even though I did create the game, which that's never a good sign for a game if the own creator can't. Oh, come on! How do you know? How did? Come on, and then up and down. You want to hold right there and there. And then let that arrow fly. And then, okay, I only have one more life. So before I have to okay, this game is very hard right now. I honestly can't tell you why. And it's okay. You can just not jump. Let's go again. Yeah, come on. And then just shoot there. The first level is pretty easy because you can kind of cheese it. And, I mean, you're not supposed to, but that was there on purpose. The second level is also pretty easy if you can get it right, which I definitely wasn't able to that last playthrough. But the third level is a lot harder than it really not needs to be, but it is just a lot harder. And then the fourth level is actually pretty easy because there's a really quick way that a lot of gamers would figure out how to cheese the game. There, and once you've killed these guys, you're basically done. Just a few more jumps, and one more guy that you have to knock. Nope, didn't my okay, or my bullets can just not hit, and then you can just run off. This game is running. This is going very well right now. Okay, I don't want to hear anyone saying that I suck in the comments or in live chat because I really do not. No, yeah, come on, let's go. We're almost there. We are almost there, and then I guess there's really one more game before I end off the stream. Okay, I'm done. I'm not gonna be playing that. Maybe I'll do a speed run of this game later on the YouTube channel. So yeah, hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss me speed running this game. Sure, that's one way to get it. The last game that I have is Battle Destroyer. Oh, I should probably close all of these so it doesn't get too confusing. Alright, it's almost there. Came over. Okay, so last game I have here is Asteroid Destroyer, where it is kind of like the first game I showed you, which is called Blaster Faster, but instead of enemies, it's asteroids, which is pretty names. easy to figure out. But also, instead of using the mouse to control it, you use your 4 arrow keys and your spacebar. And this game, I like this one a lot. Partly because I had already like known the software and known how to use the software, so it was really easy for me to understand what was happening, because I was just able to speed through the production of the game. But yeah, it was really simple. You can see how this is the game, and this is what happens at the start, where you pin the players and then you do all that. So this is that first start game where it shows you the players and all that, but you don't actually play the game. And then once you hit start, it removes all that stuff and it takes you into player movement. So you can see up arrow, down arrow, left arrow, right arrow. And this one does have some sounds to it. Sadly, it is not connected, so you won't be able to hear it, but it does have some sounds to it. Or if you were playing the game, you would be able to hear, which I'd find